Today's goal is to update late joiners into the server with current information such as animation states, what weapons being held, and various things of that nature, as well as setting up taking damage. So I thought I already had taking damage done, but whenever I shoot at my other players, they don't seem to go down. I don't know if I just forgot something really small or what, so I need to look into that as well. The first thing I'm going to do though is updating late joiners, and I actually already found a way to do that, and I modified the mirror source code, and I don't really want to go that route because if I ever need to update mirror, would make it very challenging because obviously I'd lose my work. To show you what I did real quick, if I can find it, let me just drag this over here. Looking. Okay, so this is the spawn observers for connection, and this is what's basically run whenever a new person joins the server. So it sends what objects to spawn for that new person, and then it sends this object spawn finish message, which triggers the on start client and so on. And then what I was doing is I was calling a method on the identities, which is a virtual on observers spawned, which goes through all the network behaviors, which calls on observers spawn for them, passing in a connection of the client. And that way, basically what I was doing is on the server side for existing objects, whenever someone new would join, this would be called on those objects. And Mirror doesn't actually have this functionality yet, which is kind of awful. I suggested it a couple times, but they haven't got around to putting it in, which is a shame because I do think it definitely has a place. But anyway, in the meantime, I do have a workaround for that. So that's what I'm going to do first. I need to just undo my changes real quick. I don't want this code in here. All right. Now let's see. First I need to, I'm going to get some errors here. This is fine. This is from my old code where I was testing. What I'm going to do first, however, is make a new network manager. So let's go to my scripts and let's go to Mirror. And let me make a new network manager. This is using the templates in Mirror, which this is the first time I've used them, but I can see how they'd have uses past this. So especially if you need to do a lot of customization, which I'm doing right now. So I'm going to click Create Mirror Network Manager. I'm just going to call it FPS Land Network Manager. And I need to replace the existing one with this network manager. So let me go to my network manager component or object. I need to remove the HUD first and then the network manager because one requires the other. And I'm going to drop on my FPS land one. Oh, it's not letting me do it because I have compile errors, so that's no big deal. I just have to comment this out real quick. And I know there's more than just that one error, so I need to let the other one populate. Here we go. Okay. Now it should compile. Also, I upgraded the project to 2019.4, so I'm on LTS for 2019 as well. Let's go back to my script here and drop it on. I'm going to actually put it up top. Okay, so still can't be found. I know what's going on. No errors. I don't see any issues. Let me try it one more time. Maybe Unity is just still catching up. Okay, interesting. Let me try that again. I'm just going to make an empty script and give it a shot. All right, so it took that. I guess I'm just going to try making a new manager again. There we go. Great. I got that on. Now I'm going to add the HUD back so that I can start the server and or client. So network manager HUD. I need to re-add my player object. This will just take a second. So I need to go to assets, client instance, check. I need to add a spawnable prefab as the character, main character. Perfect. I can add it and try again. Okay. I'm going to drag and drop it. Upgrading is fun, guys. All right. So now I have my custom network manager, which doesn't really have a whole lot in it. What I'm looking for specifically is probably the server system callback. So if I look through this, I have called on server when a new client connects. Probably not what I want, sounds close. Called on server when a client is ready. Doesn't really tell me a whole lot. Called on the server when a client adds a new player. Okay, so this means that the player is essentially in the scene. So this is probably where I want to call my updates. Now, like I said, there isn't a method for this yet. So what I need to do is go up top and I'm gonna make my own region. And I will do public, and I need to make this a static event. I'm going to pass in a network connection, and it's going to be called relay, and what was that called? On server add player. So basically what I'm going to do is whenever this executes, it's going to dispatch the event, and it's going to pass in the connection. And notice it says connection from client. So this is basically the connection to client. So I'm going to use that to send a target RPC. Now, the reason I'm making this static is because I don't have a reference to the FPS LAN network manager. There is a singleton in the network manager, but it's not overridable. So in order to access this particular event, I need to essentially make it static. So I'm just going to add some quick code here. Dispatched after a client has its player instantiated. I'll just say instantiated. There we go. Now to go from here is pretty easy. To show you first what it looks like without this being complete, is I'm going to make a very quick build. I say as I start a build, and it takes a moment. It's only the first build that usually takes a second because I just opened the project. It's generally a lot quicker after that. All right, so I got a build up. I need to get another build up, as well as start the editor. All right, so I'm going to run the editor as server. I have two builds. I'm going to start this as a client, and I'm going to aim up and change to my pistol. Now, what happens when I start my other client? Now, if I look over, I can see that he's aiming forward and he has the assault rifle. Now, I know the server has the right information, so if I actually go look at the server here, you can see he has a pistol, and it doesn't look like the animation or the pitch is set up. So I might need to fix that at some point on the server, but it does recognize that it has the right weapon. What I need to do is close those out and now go to my scripts, which will require me to update those values to newcomers or late joiners. One is the weapon handler that determines what weapon is held. Now, what I need to do if I'm the server, so I'm going to go under on start server, and I have a first initialize method here. I will do if base.isServer, then FPS LAN network manager dot relay on server add player, And this created an event so that whenever this occurs, I will know about it. Essentially, whenever a player is set up on the server, it will be sent to this script via event. And yes, you know I do love my events. They are infinitely useful, and this is just another concept that you can do with that. And I already have a target RPC set up, which sends the latest value to whoever I specify, essentially. And you can see all that's doing is just sending in the current weapon index to whoever I like, and then it will call equipped weapon on it. So that's all set up and good to go. Get rid of this old code, and that will take care of the weapon. Now I need to do one for the animations, which is equally easy, I should say. So I got awake and I have update. I need to do an override on start server, and I'm going to do I want to actually change these names around too, because they're kind of confusing, because some I call initialize and awake and some I call them under like on start client and so on. I want to consolidate that to make it more clear, but for now I'll just leave it as is. And then again, I'm just going to do FPS land network manager dot relay, add an event for that. I already have the target RPC set up, and here I'm sending in the target direction, which is a moving direction, the pitch, and the weapon index. Again, the weapon index is for the animation. I probably don't actually have to send this because the weapon handler is probably doing that. So I'll try in a second taking that out and see what happens. All right, so I'm using my event in two places now, and I'm basically using it to send an RPC to latecomers in two different scripts. So let's do another build and test that out real quick. Build times are definitely becoming longer, but the project's really close to being done, so I'm not too terribly concerned about it. Drag over my two clients, start the server. First one, again, I'm going to switch to the pistol and I'm going to move out here and open and then aim up, and I'm going to do the same thing. Well, I'm going to join rather and then look at it. All right. So, still the assault rifle, not working. What's really funny is that I tested this before streaming, and then I undid all my work so I could show you how I did it, and clearly I forgot something. So, yeah, and the other issue is that the player doesn't die. You can see they're taking hits because the little marks are hitting on them, but oh boy, that's embarrassing. Okay, so let's just rotate the weapon, and now it's working, so it's just not sending the latest information. And also that's another bug where it sends the change weapon twice. Again, not concerned about that. I would bet that what's going on is that it's simply probably not getting the event. So let me check on that real quick. It could be a race condition. I really hope it's not a race condition, because that would mean I will absolutely have to go back and, oh, you know what? I'm an idiot. Nope, this is a user error. I pasted it under the wrong method. Okay, so this is called on the server, so I don't have to make a new build, but I do need to just restart everything. How come you guys didn't tell me I was making a mistake? All right, so server, client, changing weapon to pistol, aiming up, making a new build. Client. All right, everything is good now. So again, make sure that you stick it under the on server add player, not the on server ready. Don't make the same mistake I just did. And there you go. Now I have my own custom manager, which I can use to update newcomers to current RPC data, because you don't always want to use a sync var. The reason I didn't want to use a sync var specifically is because on the animation controller, I run my animations on the owning client, or so owner, and then I tell the server of those values, and then the server changes them and updates that of players. The problem is, if I use a sync var, if my value on owner has changed from the time I have sent the last one to the server, it's different, and if the server changes it, I can't just snap back to the previous value that's passed into the sync var hook, and it'll just overwrite each other, and it'll break a lot of things. So I really need to use RPCs so I can target only spectators and not the owner. But that's all taken care of. Now let's go ahead and do a quick backup so I don't have to do this again. And then I'm going to see what's going on with the health. All right, got my backup open. Just typing some notes. Animator controller and weapon handler. Now update late joiners. One thing I want to try real quick before I do this is, I think, like I said, I think the weapon handler handles the weapon part of it, so I don't think I need to pass in the weapon index. So I'm going to actually take that out of the target RPC and see if it works. I think it will. I just want to try it out. And then I'll proceed to working on the health right after. All right, this again is on the server side, but they need to match up though. The RPCs have to match up with the clients. So I'm going to do another quick build. I might get banned from the official Unity server for this stream. I got warned by one of the moderators that I can't post my stream because it doesn't follow their advertising guidelines, but it's not really advertising. I mean, it kind of is, but I posted it under works in progress because it is a work in progress, and I don't see how that differs from other people's works in progress. But if they want to ban me, I don't really care. I mean, I don't really do much on that server other than post what I'm doing. All right. So it looks like I do actually need to set it up on, I do need to set it up through the animator as well. I tried. So let's go ahead and just undo that real quick. Save everything, and then I'm going to push it up. All right, now I need to find out what's going on with the health specifically and to why it's not being removed. That would be under my health script, which I don't have up. So let me go back to Unity. And I'm going to go to my character. All right, health. I'm pretty sure the health is getting called, but I need to find out exactly what's going on. So I'm going to add some debug here. .log. Let's say game object. .name plus comma plus damage, so I can figure out what's being hit exactly. All right. Time to do another quick quote unquote build or fast build. I guess I didn't really have to because I only made the changes on the server side. But it's in progress now, so it is what it is. Okay, so got my build up. Starting things up. going to join my client anywhere in the map, doesn't matter this time. I'm going to go find him. I know exactly where he is because I have wall hacks. Okay, now I'm going to shoot once, twice, couple times. All right, so I'm not getting the hit message. Something funny is going on. Let's go back to my action code, I suppose. It's going to be under weapon handler, but I'm going to close everything out just so I can organize a tiny bit here. Okay, void fire. I'm pretty sure this is being called on the server. If it's not being called on the server, I don't know what the heck happened. Debug.log called. If raycast hit, looks like I'm going against the default layer or the hitbox layer. I'm going to just add a debug hit. I'm going to do a plus base.isServer, basically printing out if I'm the server or not. And now I'm going to try and get the hitbox. So I'm going to do debug.log hitbox equals null. So I should see the text called, I should see the text hit and then true, and then hopefully I'll see false. But let's find out exactly what happens. Did I save that? Yeah, I'm assuming I did because it's taking a second to compile. Okay. All right, client. I'm gonna have an extra pair of arms because I didn't destroy the arms on disconnect. That's something else I need to take care of. It's really small. Okay, so I'm gonna shoot. Like it's not even getting those messages at all, which is kind of weird. Wrong screen. This is really hard when you have multiple windows. So I'm shooting him, it's definitely hitting occasionally, but the server simply is not running the fire method. Which is interesting because I'm pretty sure, like if let me move right here and go to the other client, and if I look over here, now let's bring this back up. Oh, so I did break something at one point, because before you could see the actual firing and stuff, and now you can't. So probably something really, really small. So let me check into that. I just need to do one more thing real quick and make sure that that's actually sending over to the server in the first place. I have no idea when this happened. All right, moving into view. So it's not even sending the RPC. So that's probably the issue right there. That, or it's sending the RPC and the server saying, nah, we don't like it. We think you're hacking. And that's probably what's going on. I have no idea when this broke. Like, this was literally working like a moment ago. So I have a server up off screen. I'm gonna do a quick shot. Okay, so it's sending the RPC, but like I said, I have a strong suspicion the server's shutting it down because it thinks it's cheating. Probably a recent change I made. Oops. Okay, so first things first, it's probably this one right here maybe, but let's just see what's going on. All right, so now I'm going to run this on server, and then I'm going to fire on the build. Firing A. Okay, so the weapon index is not valid. If I had to take a stab in the dark, it's probably from my recent changes that I just did. So why is this weapon index not valid? Well, let's find out. Okay, so this is what's called technically on the server and client. Since I'm running this as a server only, I'm only going to get that debug if I'm the server. Or since I'm running this particular client as server only. I just move this back here so you can see when I spawn in either way. All right, firing. All right, so it says I have 2 weapons, which is right, but the weapon index is -1. I know why it's doing that. It's because previously I had in my code select first weapon, and that was run on the client and the server. And I removed the call on the server because I thought, oh, the weapon changes go over the network, so the server should get that call automatically, but some reason it's not. So I don't want to change the behavior. I'm pretty happy with that, so I need to go to select first weapon, and I'm pretty positive this is being called. I imagine it is, but because otherwise I'd end up with my pistol, because the pistol index is actually 0 on the animator, and that's the default values, I think. So it showed the pistol equipped, but the assault rifle is higher up inside my hierarchy in the prefab. Okay. All right, yeah. So it is taking the weapon. So it's probably not sending the change over the network. So let's see. Right. This is my mistake. So I try, whenever I alternate between my weapons, I queue a weapon change. Basically, it just sets the last weapon I equipped, and then it's sent to the network at an interval. That way people can't spam the network by spamming weapon changes. I need to set this whenever I also call equipped weapon. Or rather, I should just put this under equipped weapon, because that would make so much more sense, wouldn't it? All right, I think that'll fix it. Do another build. And it feels like I'm going to get the stuff I wanted done on the stream completed significantly faster than I expected, which is definitely not a bad thing. So I'll probably look into some bugs afterwards, like that one where you see the weapon come up twice. So now I need another client. Okay, I'm going to move out into the open, and it doesn't matter who shoots who as long as it happens. All right, so it got called. I don't remember where that debug was specifically. Hit true, called 25. Oh, awesome. All right, so they went down on the server, but they didn't on client, but that's expected because I don't have that set up yet. The other players don't actually know what kind of damage you're taking. I will synchronize like hit sounds and impacts and things like that. The heavy lifting for that is pretty much all done. I just need to hook it up. But I'm not going to synchronize the health of other players or maybe I will actually, because if you want to do a team game, you probably want to know your teammates' health, right? So maybe I will keep that synchronized. But I need to make sure that the death happens over the network too, and I don't know where I need to look for that just yet. I haven't looked into that code in a while, but I imagine it's probably not very hard from where I'm at right now. Now, next thing I want to focus on is fixing that bug where the weapon comes up twice. I have a sneaky suspicion it's because the animator is probably calling equipped weapon, and that the weapon handler is probably also calling equipped weapon. So I'm just going to make another build open my previous build and confirm that that bug still exists before I go trying to fix it, because I made some changes. Okay, let me actually turn sideways so I can see it, and just gonna face this guy. All right. Yeah, so it's still happening twice, and I have a really good feeling it's the animator fighting with the other code on the weapon index. It seems to only do it occasionally. So let me see how I want to handle this. I queue the weapon change, and then I go here where if it's not -1, which means if something's queued, then it's going to send the command. It's going to say if this weapon index is invalid, tell the owning player to select their first weapon. This should never happen. They're probably trying to cheat at that point if that does happen, but it's there just in case. Otherwise, it's going to call switch weapon locally. If successful, it's going to tell spectators to equip the weapon. And by calling this, it would trigger an animation, which is correct. That's what the code says to do. So if I set the weapon index, yeah, so I don't think I need to actually synchronize this over the network. So I'm going to simply not send the update over the network, and I don't have to make another build because that's server side. So I'm just going to open my builds up. Basically what was happening is on the server, whenever the whenever this weapon index would change in the animator controller, it would send that over the network. But what was happening is the weapon handler was also sending a request saying, okay, the weapon changed, so now that the change is sent, send that change over the network. And it was calling equipped weapon on spectators, which was also calling the animator. And that was racing with the animator's part and also sending the weapon index. So it was just sending it twice, basically. To keep things simple, sending it twice. Oh, gotta start up the server. Client, just need to get him in the open here. Get to my other client. All right. So now let's go ahead and just select this guy. Weapon change, weapon change, weapon change, weapon change, weapon change. Yeah. Okay. So it's not breaking at this point. It's now working just fine. Recoil's good. Muzzle flash working. Looking, pitch, everything's great. The pitch is a little slow. That's okay. I only have it set to synchronize every 100 milliseconds because it's not really something that's super important. It might mess with hitboxes a little bit, so I might bump that up just a tiny bit, but yeah, right now it's 100 milliseconds. Let me go over to the server make sure that the animations are right. I don't see why they wouldn't be, because I remember they were broken earlier. All right, so it doesn't look like it's working on the assault rifle, but that's not actually broken. I just don't have animations for it. I made these off camera the other day, so if I actually look at my pistol here, I have a blend tree, which has different ones, but the assault rifle one is just a single state. And if you're wondering how I did that, I actually looked at other games, primarily CSGO, as someone pointed out earlier. I know you're watching. And all they do in CSGO that I could tell is that the unequipped basically just drops the hands down completely, like the frame cuts off. It doesn't show an animation going down or anything. The hands just disappear, and then he brings up the new gun. So I have my unequipped animation, which is literally just that. It's just the arms aiming down. So the arms just jump down really fast, and it sets a new weapon and it brings it up. And it looks pretty natural in game. You can't really tell. So if it works for them, it works for me. Now let's make another backup, because I do not like losing work. Okay, backup. Fixed health not working. No, fixed hitboxes. Nope, that's not correct either. Fixed command fire being rejected due to invalid weapon index. That's a better comment. And fixed equipped weapons animation showing twice. And commit and push. If you don't use Git for your work, I strongly recommend that you start doing it, because it is extremely beneficial if you care about your work at all anyway. Now, I have a ton of extra time, so what do we say I make those animations real quick? I've gotten around Blender a little bit better since my last episode of it, which I think was like the first or second stream. It was pretty awful. So it won't be as bad or painful to watch. Open recent. I want to make sure I'm opening the right one. So just give me 1 sec, because I have two. I have one on my desktop and one in the actual folder, and I wanted the one in the folder for the project. I had one on my desktop because I was backing up stuff and reverting and doing a lot of things, so I didn't want to lose my Blender file. All right, so assault rifle aim. Now I need to make a new one. I'm going to actually copy this pose. And I don't need this second thing here. I'm just going to delete these keys. Okay, so now I'm going to make a new one. Assault rifle aim up. And all I'm going to do is just grab these shoulder bones, rotate to my side view, rotate on my X, which is different in Blender. I'm going to point them up, and it looks a little silly right now, so I need to actually rotate the head too. Let's go to the side view again, rotate that on X a little bit. This one, rotate on X a little bit. Perfect. This looks good. So let me key my frames in. And now I just need to make a looking down animation. Just to make sure I did that right, I'm going to go to rifle aim, then rifle aim up, and it looks like it's working. I also need to use a fake user. I'm not going to explain it because I don't know entirely what it means, but essentially if you don't check this box, sometimes your animations get lost. So let's make a yet another animation. Assault rifle aim down. And I'm going to right click paste pose, which is back to the original. Same thing as before. I'm going to take my shoulders, rotate down on the X. Probably point down about yay much. I'm going to move the head down a tiny bit. And I think I want to move the spine a tiny bit as well. Okay, I know it's not perfect, and it actually looks like it might be clipping the legs. Because of that, I will actually just move these up a tiny bit. It doesn't really have to be perfect. Not like I'm doing third body perspective or anything like that. I just want it to be close. Pretty happy with that. So I'm going to do keying, add, and now I should just be able to export this, and I should have my animations. And I say should because I fought with Blender and Unity not playing nice together for the longest time yesterday, and I still don't know exactly what the problem was. I ended up deleting some of my animations and then just started working. I think maybe one of them became corrupt or something, but yeah. All right, so I'm going to add 2. I'm going to change. I click this button to add animations. By the way, if you make your own animations, at least with Blender, usually you have to select the FPS model, click the little plus sign for every new animation, and then you change the source take on it. Okay, and it looks like that worked. Right now, I'm changing the body transform because you can see it's a little off. For some reason, you have to change it to original most of the time to make it go straight. And the Y is sometimes a little off too. In this case, the model's pretty balanced. Yeah, like the feet and the original are the same spot, which is really good. It means the pivot point is on. It's on point. And then for the root transform, that's basically like the left, the depth, and so on. This is set to original too, and you can see it just kind of centers it to that pivot point. And I think I already did the down. I just want to double check. Yep. Apply. Now I'm going to make a new blend tree. Actually, I'm just going to copy the pistol one. Delete the assault rifle. Rename that. Make a new transition. So like I said, whenever you do the weapon change trigger, it calls this, which calls unequipped really fast. Like if you look, there's no transition delay, so the arms just snap out of view. And then this has an exit time, and it blends into whichever animation it should afterwards. The pistol I have 0.3. For the assault rifle, I believe I have 0.5 previously. I'm not sure, it doesn't really matter. It can be adjusted. And now for my blend tree, basically based on the pitch, it just goes between the up or the down one. Right now this is the pistol, so I'm going to change that to my assault rifles. So assault rifle aim up, and aim down. And now if I do it, you can see it has the assault rifle pose. You can't really tell the difference much right now, but you'll notice it in game. So let's go ahead, and one thing I am a little skeptical of, and I might need to adjust the animation slightly, is whenever I aim up, for example, this is the pistol one, you can see that it's not holding the pistol right at all. I have IK, so it might fix that, but it might not. So if that's still broken later, I will fix it at one point, but it looks fine first person though, because first person doesn't actually blend between these, because this would create camera clipping because the arms move. And someone in my server, I'm so sorry, I'm really bad with names and remembering, asked like, well, AAA titles usually use 2 different rigs because they're body awareness, but body awareness creates so many headaches, and this is like one of them. Like you'd have to make sure your body's out of view of the camera and various things like that. So when it comes to first-person shooters, I don't care if your game has body awareness or not. It doesn't really add anything extra to me. Having a third-person mode where you can like zoom out and see a third person is fine, but body awareness while in first person makes absolutely no difference to me. Also, I need to add a condition real quick. I almost forgot. For the assault rifle, the weapon index needs to be equal to 1. And if I go to my character real quick, under my weapons, they have an animator index, and that's what determines this, the 0 or the 1. You can see I got a lot of stuff done off camera if you've been following my streams. That's all set up now. So if I were to take another build, I imagine the assault rifle will work. Let's just do that real quick. Come on. Got one build up. Server. Server. There we go. Client. Other client. All right, stop hiding behind the trees. All right, going over. You can already tell it's looking down a little bit, so that's good. All right, so yeah, that's working now. Great. So I have my assault rifle animations in. The server is still the server is synced up to now, so that will mean that the hitboxes will register accurately. I do think I'll speed that up just a tiny bit because that could make the difference in competitive, like a competitive game. So let me just do that super fast here. I'm pretty sure that's in my looking script. Yes, I have it hard-coded just because, no special reason. I'm going to bump that up to every 50 milliseconds instead. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world if it's off slightly. Even so, if you shoot at the player and their arms aren't where it is on the owner, then the server will still recognize the hit, which is obviously good. Let me get out of Blender. Pose. Here we go. Close. I honestly didn't expect to get this much done today. So one last thing I do want to check is with these new weapon changes, I'm going to see if I actually have to synchronize the weapon index. I undid this previously and it broke stuff, but I think now with the recent changes this will work fine. So do a quick test. I have another video planned for my supporters coming up here really soon. It's going to be how to, or rather it's going to kind of be like a guide on how to optimize your network bandwidth. It's not going to be super detailed because there's a lot of things you can do to make the most absolute optimizations over your network, and a lot of it is like a case-by-case basis. So like it's stuff you'd have to really plan out for your game specifically. But there are some things you can do that would be universal for any project to save bandwidth, and that's what I'll be covering. All right, so client. Starting with the pistol, starting to look up. Going to connect as a client. All right. So this is what I was talking about, where the animations do not look right. So I'll have to probably redo that. Like he's aiming through the head. That's fine. It's not really a big deal. I just wanted the animation working first of all. Oh, I wonder if it was just simply on the wrong animation. That might have been the assault rifle one. Now I'm curious. What's interesting is I feel like this should work without having to sync this up, because I do send the latest weapon stuff, which in result should send the latest indexes, but for some reason it's not. I'm gonna do one more build, then I think I'm gonna call it after the end of this. I'm not entirely sure why that's a thing, why I have to also send the index and animator when the other script should be taking care of it. The only thing I can imagine is maybe there's a race condition and one is beating the other out. I'm not too concerned about it though, because I know that when I do send the weapon index and the animator as well in the weapon handler script, it works fine. So the race condition is boot at that point. Might just end up keeping it that way. All right, looking up with the pistol. Going over. Still looking up. Looks great. Okay. Up. Let me just go like this. Go like this. Let me check the up down. So it's a little bit quicker now. I don't really think the speed matters, but it's nice and smooth. It looks good. I'm pretty happy with where I'm at with this project right now. I'm really happy with the recoil syncing over the network as well. You can see there's like different kicks with the pistol versus, whoops, I accidentally scrolled twice, versus with the assault rifle. But yeah, I would say that's it for today. Got a lot done. I'll probably do more off screen like I normally do just to get things done. Thanks for coming and checking me out. Oh, also, let me get you a Discord link real quick. I know most of you probably already have this, but just in case you want to join my server, if you are a new person here, there is a link. All right, I am taking off. See you later.